we get started, Haisya, Neerja?
Sure, Anil, you can start. We have about 65 people already in.
Okay.
So are they continuing to join? Do you see that the thing is continue to go up? In which case, waiting for a little more time, because many times people join right at 5 o'clock. So
Yeah.
they may come from 5 to 5:05.
We can wait for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
Just 1 second.
We're more than 95 now.
It shows
Okay, sounds good.
900.
I think we'll get started.
Yes.
Good evening. Good morning. I am Anil Jampala. I'm coming to you live, a bit sleepless in Seattle. My colleague Jyoti and I will take you through this webinar, and we are super excited that you joined in record number, and thank you very much. Hello, Jyoti.
Good morning, doctor, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us here.
We hope you enjoyed the 3-day weekend. How was the single card Pictionary game you just played? I am excellent at Pictionary. The only problem is my team gets frustrated and traumatized trying to guess my drawings. Let me take this opportunity to welcome Murali Bolu to formally kick off this event. Murali is CEO of GenQ and is the immediate past president of HYSIA. This webinar was to be held on May 6th when Murali was still the president of HYSIA but got postponed. So without further ado, I would request Murali to give his inaugural address. Murali, please go ahead. Murali, please go ahead.
He's not on mute. Murli, you're able to hear?
May I send him a message maybe?
would like to continue?
Okay. Murali has been a great supporter of some of the programs we have done, and as a past president of HICIA, he has done wonderful events and showed leadership, including the latest COVID situation. And he's one of the first people to jump on to the situation and start moving things together. So we really appreciate Murali's leadership and for being there for us. Let's move on. Our contention is we are all creative. The degree may vary, the field may vary. Our goal here is, as Thomas Friedman talked about in his latest NASSCOM webinar, amplification of positive ideas. With that in mind, we'll offer you some insights, tools, techniques to get you going on this self-discovery, and hopefully your journey helps you and your company and your customers as well. As the cartoon was showing here, we feel we are kind of asymptomatic, but we should be going beyond that stage.
Dr. Anil, you need to share the screen.
Okay, once.
Neeraja? No?
Yeah, now we are able to hear you.
Yes. Dr. Anil Murali is on track now.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay, I was not realizing that, anyway, so it got fixed. Let me briefly talk about what I'm here for. In a recent survey, 60% of the people worldwide said they are worried about contracting coronavirus. Many of us have experienced mental health issues due to prolonged periods of work from home. I'm sure that you would agree. Depression has increased in many households. Workload has increased for women as they have to now take care of family 24/7. And I hear domestic violence also has increased worldwide. So sorry to start on this negative note, but I think I have a point to make. Among 195 countries in the world, everyone knows US, Brazil, Russia, Italy, Spain, France, they have highest incidence of the coronavirus. In the US, the death toll is expected to cross 1 lakh today. In UK, 37,000. In Italy, 33,000. You get the picture. But you know, there are very few countries in the world which were able to contain the virus. You know, which are they? Germany, New Zealand, Taiwan, Norway, Iceland, Denmark, and Finland. They have the lowest death rates in the world because of corona. You know what's common to these countries? They all have women leaders who are creative and innovative and contain the virus in their countries. How did they do it? They were decisive. For example, Taiwan PM, Tsai Ing-wen, being close to China also, they should have actually been most affected, but they were the first to do the lockdowns and have only 6 deaths so far. And Iceland PM, Katrin, she used technology earlier, made it free testing for all, have only 8 deaths so far. Norway PM, Erna, she used love. She talked to kids and told them it's okay to be scared. And she has taken decisive steps. So in essence, all creatures on earth, they have this fight or flight as a response when they're faced with any danger. Either we want to fight or we want to run away. While fear and panic represent negative forces within our mind and want us to flight, we can overcome them with strong positive forces like creativity and innovation. Fight and win in adverse conditions like we have today. Every crisis is an opportunity to innovate, because crisis is when we know the old rules, they no longer work. So now we need to come up with something new, which is what we call innovation. I commend Dr. Anil, the past president of HICIA, and his colleague at EMRI, Jyoti, for thinking of conducting such session, rising above the negative forces that are widespread around and challenging others to do so as well. Thank you, Anil, and it's all yours.
Thank you, Murali. I hope we can see my screen now. It's a graphic of
Yes.
World Economic History of China and other major powers. Murali shared this graphic with me a few weeks ago. It was looked interesting, and I tossed it after looking at it. A few days later, its relevance hit me. If you look at the countries at the top of this graphic, they got really early start, but pretty much stayed the same. In the last century, perhaps a lot of that growth may be because of the oil exports. China and India has dominated for about 1800 years. I call them value years. That's where a lot of original developments have taken place. Of late, they are picking again. I call them volume years, be it offshore manufacturing or IT. Last century, USA has been dominant. Thomas Friedman uses the words deep and shallow. So what does it take us to develop deep expertise and grow on the value chain also? So with that in mind, let me move to the next slide. We have created one. This is the context for offering this webinar in collaboration with HISIA and STP Hyderabad. In January, I met with my colleagues, Jyoti and other people, and planned for a day-long hands-on event in May. Little did we know what's going on outside. While talking to Vikas of Deloitte at the time, he suggested, why not we do this event exclusively for women? I thought that's quite an innovative idea. After all, women need to work harder in the male-dominated world to prove themselves as good or better than anybody else. I'm sure that is true in creativity and innovation areas as well. As it turned out, while I was not lucky enough to travel back to Hyderabad and enjoy the Halim, I'm very glad we did amplify the attendance. Our intent is to offer a series of events focusing on different aspects of an organization. Jyoti and I have been collaborating for quite some time. We were started as colleagues at EMRI 108 many years ago. Last year, we have done 2 successful programs in collaboration with HISIA. One is the 7 Sutra for Successful Careers. The other one is Shaping Aspiring Women Leaders. Our LinkedIn addresses are given here, just in case if anybody is interested. Let's see what we have on the menu for you. I think many of you may feel comfortable knowing what is on the agenda. We don't want to break all the rules. Breaking some rules are okay. So first we look back and see how certain actions change in history. And then we look at why it is so hard to innovate in businesses. We look at the most innovative project we were deeply involved in. And then we throw some light on 7 stages of creativity. All of us may be doing some of these unconsciously, but making these explicit will help. We also offer 7 Sutra for your success and success of business. Take all these with a grain of salt, keep what you like, adapt what you want to change, throw out the items that don't work, and do let us know. With that, let's see what Jyoti will serve you now.
Thank you, Dr. Anil. Well, this picture, I'm sure, is going to, evoke multiple responses. Some may say, oh God, not again about food. what with many of us, having to play a dual role of working for home and working from home. Food is the last thing that we want to think about. I don't want the webinar to end and then get back to the kitchen and do that. Okay, that apart, no prizes for guessing what it is. This is a simple dosa is what we are seeing here. If we can date back to how it all began, probably if I go back to my growing up years, this was predominantly a South Indian tiffin, for which many of my North Indian friends used to come home to have a bite of a dosa at home, because it was not as easily available way back then. Not much variations other than a plain dosa to go with a sambar or a chutney. A little bit of variation, if you can think about, was in Tamil Nadu, you had a combination of adai and avial. And then, in the Telugu states, you can talk about, pesarattu. Like that was the only variation which was there. And believe me, to have a masala dosa, it was a premium way back then. You need to go to a hotel and, order a masala dosa and have one. And there is always the craving is to have another one. But then immediately the thought is, I need to pay for the other one. So from where we started off there to today, if you look at it, it's come a long way. It's not just about, making I always think, we all think like, why do I go and spend money of eating a masala dosa at home? I can prepare it as well as, at the hotel, I can prepare it very much at home. Not one, I can have as much as what I want, like, without draining the money from my pocket, I can have as much as I want. And it did not stop just there. What was just one variation of dosa was a masala dosa. Today we have multiple variations. You have the North Indians who come in to say that there is a paneer dosa. You have the Italians who have come in and added some cheese there to say we have a cheese dosa. So many variations go in to make from a simple, what started off with a simple plain dosa. If you look at the picture, it's a 3-in-1 dosa. You have a pesarat, you have a masala dosa, and then you have a plain dosa there. This is how that. What was the point here is the need. There is a necessity. There was a need, or there's a value for money, which actually took us ahead to see that what we can do with it actually. So without draining much money from the pocket or saving money, that is the food for thought we are thinking about. Can I save more money? Maybe time or whatever you think. That is what led us to go ahead with, creating multiple versions of the same dosa. Doctor, can I have the next slide? Okay. So, yes, yeah, that's fine. So this is simply to say that what is it that we are good at consuming, but not good at producing value. So that trigger point is when we want to create some kind of value is what pushes us to be more creative. This is some, let us talk about like that. We are going to take through, few examples of, creativity, which we can relate to. A simple rhyme. I want to just put up a question here. When was the last time you ever wondered, as kids, we all wondered and we were very good at asking questions. Even looking at a star, we wondered and asked, what is it? But as big kids now, when did we completely stop asking questions? This is a picture of a simple, hand pump. The story that goes behind this is it was in a village in AP, a government school, which had about 500 children studying there, but only one water pump catering to the 500 children. So when it was a lunch break, so children used to line up to wash their, tiffin dabbas and, to get back to class, it used to take a lot of time for them actually. And by the time all the 500 finished doing that, the next period after lunch also was getting over. So nobody thought about how we come across to, bring about a change in this. A simple school teacher who was teaching there, who was getting restless with the fact that he was missing out on the time with the children to teach academics. He thought, why don't I come out with a simple change? If you look at it, it is the same pump. He added in the design, he just added a pipe with multiple outlets. The point here is, it is just a simple thought that made a huge difference, which went on to make a big difference. So on this note, let us, launch a poll here. So the poll is very simple. The question that goes is creativity a personality trait? Simple. You need to tick in a yes or no. Oof, that's some numbers. So many of you all feel that 82% think it's a personality trait. Okay, we end the polling here. We got it around 84% who say that, it is indeed a personality trait, and we have 16%, the 20 of y'all feel that it is not so. So we'll talk about it as we go on. I think this picture, the person on this picture here on the slide doesn't need much of explanation here. Sudha Murthy of Infosys. If you go back to how she began her career, she was already an engineer and she was looking at pursuing higher studies. That's when she got to see, an advertisement in a paper of Telco. I mean, today's your Tata Tata Consultancy, TCS. Way back it was erstwhile Telco. So everything was good about it. It was asking for young, energetic engineers. But what really caught her eye was, lady students need not apply. The discomfort for her was that one particular line which said lady students need not apply. Now, if you look at the premise of the whole thing, she was anyway not looking at getting into a job. She was anyway decided that she's going to pursue her studies. But then that discomfort was something which was troubling her so much. She said, I need to vent out the pent up frustration which was there. She thought, let me vent out. She just picked up a postcard and wrote to JRD Tata. I mean, she wasn't even expecting the postcard to land there. Not that she knew the address very well. Whatever was given in the paper, I mean, for the advertisement, she copied that and she dropped in there. And the result, as many of you know, is what is history. She created history by saying that JRD Tata did read the postcard, and he said, I want to meet that lady, call her for the interview. And she, who had decided that she was actually going to pursue her higher studies, she was forced to take up the job because she had taken the initiative and he had taken the initiative of calling her and talking to her. So it was just one simple step where with least expectations is what she did. So let's see some more examples and as we go on. Yeah. Well, here you see there is Sudha Chandran there, who was very famous for a movie called Mayuri. But the story behind that is she had lost both her feet actually in an accident when she was traveling in Tamil Nadu. So she approached Jaipur Foot was a very famous at way back then. They were actually creating prosthetic foot at low cost, higher durability for people, to walk. But then when she approached them, she said, I want to pursue my passion of dancing. Can we do something about it? So they worked with her and then they created a feet for her, prosthetic feet for her. And then she started to get back to dancing and then she got into acting. And I think she's now very highest paid in the TV, TV sphere. She's seen in almost every serials there. So point is simple here. She could have been just satisfied with getting a prosthetic foot done there. That's enough. But then she thought she wanted to continue with her passion of dance. Okay. The next example that we are seeing is about Dr. Varaprasad Reddy. He is an electrical engineer by profession, but he went on to create history where, just one meeting in Geneva of WHO where he attended, he heard people making remarks saying that India is not capable of producing a vaccine for hepatitis B. And that one sentence, when he heard people talk about it, made him so restless. He said, I'm going to come back and see what I can do about it. That is where it was a breakthrough. He started up Shanta Biotics, and rest is history. He made vaccines affordable to the people, the common man, he was able to make them as affordable to the common man. And we have another person, the father of the nation, we all know. Had he just, he could have just sat back and say, there's so many people fighting for independence, so why me? But then, not being a silent spectator, he wanted to be an actor there. He took a proactive step there, and the rest we all know is history. We got our independence. Rosa Parks is a very famous American social activist. She was denied a seat in the bus. She was asked to vacate the seat and given it to a white person. It was against racial discrimination. And that was the only instant which triggered her saying that I can't take this silently. I need to fight back at that. And the rest again is what we say is history. Over to you, Dr. Anil.
There have been many disruptive innovators over the decades in the business as well. We are showing you a couple of them. One is Uber and the other one is Airbnb. How they unleashed latent capacity in the society, benefited customers worldwide, and impacted other industries as well. So the innovation could have a wide impact that the innovator may not see early on, but it has quite a powerful impact in the world.
Okay, now I would request you all to open your chat box and just give me there is something which is very common in all the examples that we saw. So can I get to know from you all, what are the two things that you observed was very common amongst all the examples that we discussed so far? Fastest fingers first. Let's get into the chat mode. Okay, I can see initiative, creativity and innovation, determination, thought process, well, dedication, courage, creativity, creative, determination, passionate, necessity, wow. Okay, thinking out of the box, not accepting status quo, well, fighting spirit, boldness, pain, passion, courage, passion, necessity, intolerance, courage, innovation, following your dream. Very good. Passion, courage, innovation, multitasking, necessity, confidence that made them think out of the blue, self-motivation, gender bias. Okay, we'll come to that. Okay, self-confidence, straightforwardness. Good. I can see many fastest fingers here. That's really good, actually. Thank you so much for that. Let's see as we move on. Thank you so much for that response there. So there are two features that really stood out in these examples is what we'll just go ahead. Doctor, can we have the next slide, please? Yeah. If you look at it, in each of the examples that we saw, there was a stimulus or there was a trigger or a trigger point there, and all of them responded to that trigger or the stimulus. So that made the difference. Now, what you people need to understand here is, there is something called a space between the stimulus and response. For instance, when you take the example of, say, Sudha Chandran,
I can't hear you.
the space that we utilize between the stimulus the choice that we make there and utilize is what makes the difference there, all the difference there. So make a point here, the space is the key there which really makes a difference. If we looked at all the examples, neither of them are they come with a pedigree of a legacy of being handed it over to them. They all were self-made or self-starters there. So the difference that they made is they utilized the space, the energy that they filled in the space, brought out the result, and that defined them as a person, that defined their growth. This is like an airplane. If you look at an airplane, how does it take speed actually when you're taking speed? Does it actually rushes through a very great speed and then takes height. It can't take height just like that. So it really takes speed and then gains height. This is exactly what we mean by that space. What is the kind of energy that you will fill in there defines the space. The quality of that energy defines your freedom and growth. Yes, Dr. Anil.
Yeah, to follow up on what Jyoti has been saying, have you ever met a CEO who doesn't love innovation? I have not in my last 35 years. But what is reality? How would you relate to the innovation that is taking place in your own work? Are there systems, processes in place to encourage you to innovate? Is failure tolerated? I was curious on the most innovative companies in India and I was Googling, and then this is what I found, both in 2019 as well as 2020 as well. You probably won't see many of your companies listed on this list. I may be tad disappointed, but let's find out what are the reasons for some of the reasons for not being on that list. As creative culture is on the minds of many CEOs. It's ranked third most important hot button internal issue. The point here I'm trying to make is, if that is the case in US, imagine what would be the creative culture in other countries, particularly in a country like India. And culture eats strategy for breakfast. I just saw this movie, Ford versus Ferrari, a couple of days ago, and I strongly recommend that you watch that movie. It brings out a lot of points that we are going to cover in this presentation as well, and puts them in a context that we can easily relate to. In USA, there's an idiom that says, "Ain't broken, don't fix it." But by the time we realize something is broken, the market is gone. We have seen this in automotive sector, steel, semiconductors, manufacturing, and so on. So don't wait to fix things till they're broken. Just maybe you should consider breaking them and then fix them again. Companies like Intel do that very well, and there are some other companies that do that. But the point is, don't be satisfied with the status quo. And if you know, we all know what happens in India from the childhood days. If anyone asks questions, he or she will be strongly discouraged. From that background, we have to start asking questions. And as my previous boss says, we need to ask a million questions. Okay. Why the question I had was on my mind was, why aren't companies more innovative? Jyoti alluded to this one. Nowadays, with my experience in the industry, I'm thinking energy is the main reason. Just like for an airplane to take off from the ground, it needs a certain speed. To get, once the airplane has that speed, it will take off and then go to its destination. But if that energy is anything less, it's not going to take off. So it's like that even in our individual lives, and we need to come up, overcome the barriers, the resistance, can I do it? Those kind of challenges, and then move towards innovation. A couple of things that also came to my mind were Newton's laws of motion. I think you probably remember from college days, in English terms, let me put it this way. If you start doing things the same way, you don't expect any change to happen. So you go to work from 9 till 9, and if that's what we do all day long, where does the innovation come from? Now, let's look at the third law of Newton. Don't expect a red carpet to be rolled out. Like in the movie I mentioned, there will be a lot of resistance, including not invented here syndrome. You may get a lot of rejections, and it's not uncommon where for years a lot of ideas were ignored, but all of a sudden it finds acceptance because market is ready to accept such a product. It ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for sure that is not so. So we tend to make a lot of assumptions and assume that is true, but that may not be the case. So challenge your assumptions and then see where does it take you.
Okay. Well, I'll come back to the energy part now. When we're talking about the energy part here, there is no right or wrong answer there. I mean, everybody is right in their own way. But the point here that we are emphasizing is what is the quality of thinking and what is the quality of energy that you push in there to make all the difference. Now, you might say this all looks fine, but you know, innovating is not that easy. There are multiple things that we need to break our head. I mean, it's as good as even making a simple recipe at home also takes, and we need to break our head about so many things. So let's actually look at what could be the constraints in innovating. So now I want you all to open your chat box. There are two things that I would give you. Do you think constraints are internal to you as a person or external? What do you think predominantly? Predominantly, what do you think are the constraints which stop you from innovating? Are they internal to you or external to you? Yeah. External, internal, external, internal. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Both. Good. That's safe actually. Okay, fine. Internal mostly. Very good. Both internal, external. Okay, fine, fine, fine. Combination of both. Good, good. Fair enough, fair enough. Okay, fine. So let us, I mean, we are saying here, thank you so much. I can see fingers moving, circle of concern and influence, both. Excellent. Shravya, thank you so much for that. That's good. So it is both fine. So let us see, but everything, if you look at it, begins from an individual. So let's just look at the constraints of what are the 6 constraints which go into innovation. Doctor, can we have the slide? Fear of unknown stops people from innovating. Absolutely true. We'll come to that. We'll come to that. Okay. We're talking about an individual can be that is an internal part we are talking about, and then it can be a group, an organization. Yes, I do everything, but my organization doesn't really recognize what I do. Technology, I have everything in place, everything is in blueprint, but then the technology doesn't support. So it's lying there. And then comes the industry part. Doctor, you need to click on it. Okay. Industry, and then society. It has to be accepted. We will see with the case study of EMRI 108 as to how we can manage these constraints. I wouldn't say we can overcome completely. We can manage it, and how can we go along? So the first thing I would say is, I want to touch upon here where many of you all said creativity is a personality trait. I would want to differ here to say that it is not. Nobody is born innovator. So what is it that differentiates a person from being creative is, let us look at the individual aspect for constraints. What stops us here when we are talking about individual as a constraint here? A simple example I'll give you. We all look at probably when you enter a room, you look at a chair. So if I ask people, I mean, all of us look at, say, what did you look there? It was a chair. So looking, those who have the, you have the ability to look, sight, you say you recognize that as a chair. But the difference here is the person who sees beyond looking makes the difference in creativity. So when you're talking about seeing beyond the looking, is probably, it is like, you know, he or she looks at the design part, or maybe the convenient part, the way it is designed, or the architectural beauty, or whatever be it. So the difference here is between looking at things and seeing at them. We all look, but when we have to make a difference, we need to see them from a different perspective. So here, the key here is our perspective. Again, there is no right or wrong at all here. Each one is right in his own way. Like Dr. Anil mentioned, if this is not the result I was expecting, then I need to change my tangent in getting a different answer there. So the point here is we have to break free from the stereotypes of our thinking patterns. We need to get into the habit of challenging assumptions if we want different results. So if we have to enhance the quality of our thinking, so the quality of the quantity of the data that goes into us, our thinking also needs to be challenged. So we need to be very conscious about biases, mental blocks, blind spots, very common here. And these are all limited by our belief systems, by our upbringing. I am not telling we need to break free totally. We need to be conscious about it, that yes, when I'm taking a decision, this is the bias from my thinking actually. You have to be conscious at that level if you have to take a neutral decision there. Are we all not subject to biases? I'm sure even at workplace, when it comes to, it can be gender bias. Between, I know, choosing between a male and female, there can be a gender bias there, or there can be a cultural bias. The person comes from my, region or something, regional bias. So many biases exist there. So the point, the constraint here is in an individual is to challenge your assumptions and break free from your stereotypes and start questioning that what your assumptions are. Start questioning about them. Then probably you will get a different answer to what you have been looking at. So there is again no right or wrong. There is nothing called like, you know, a person is born creative. It is only the way you see things beyond looking at things. Yes, doctor. Okay. Let's examine all the aspects of constraints here. Like as Dr. Anil mentioned about, you know, we worked together in EMRA 108. There were constraints there when we began. The 108, as you all know, is replicating the 911 services of the US here. And the first person to get into the, get the thought or the seed which was laid was by Ramalinga Raju. So against all odds, I would say here, because it wasn't easy. He saw there was a need for an emergency response. There were some other private players in the market, but then it was not reaching the person who was in need of an emergency there. And by the time people were shifted to or given care during an emergency, the life was lost. So this is what triggered, and he said, there is a need. But then replicating the 911 services just as is was just impossible. So the first thought which came here was by an individual. He got the idea, but then how to go about it was $1 million question actually. He just wanted to have an ambulance services there and, you know, meet the needy. That didn't work there. There are multiple things that need to work out there. Then comes the group. When we are talking about group here, you must pay attention about here. When we are talking about group, it's mainly about brainstorming. I can say this because I was part of the EMRA project along with Dr. Anil even before the conception, I mean the launching part of it. So there were so many brainstorming sessions which happened there to see how we could, reach out to the person there. How do we do that? So we need to sense for an emergency. So how do we sense where there is an emergency? So somebody has to see there is an emergency. They have to inform. So we said if they have to inform, what do we do? They need to call a common place, and we need to come out with a common number for that. That's how we came out with a 108. So having sensed it's not enough, we need to reach there. So we need to send an ambulance to the place. So we thought, okay, are we done? We are shifting them there. But then we thought the golden hour needs to be addressed. So can we provide some kind of care while we are reaching them, so that, we are reducing the chances of, losing a life. That was the most, focus was on that. So the lot of brainstorming happened there, and then we came out with, a sense, reach, and care. When you're talking about a sense, reach, and care here, small things as leaders, you must make a point during brainstorming is, the focus should be on the quantity of ideas and not the quality. In a brainstorming, power to me means I have more ideas with me. So if I have more ideas, I have the power to choose the best out of it. Solution may be one, but having multiple ideas makes all the difference. So probably you have to pay attention to the body language of the group members there, and a true leader must enable every person to speak up there. You never know from where an idea comes. So now with the remote working spaces happening, like we are, virtual working spaces happening, pay more attention to your writing skills. Your expression has to be in place. When you're talking about body language, your expression has to be in place. So in a face-to-face interaction, you can make out with the way the face expression the person makes. But whereas now with virtual thing being the norm, probably you need to develop your writing skills in place there. So all these things have to be kept in mind when you are addressing a group constraint. People come from different backgrounds. So again, I emphasize here, quantity takes precedence over quality. Next, coming to the organization part, we already had, talking about Satyam was already there, but then he wanted something apart from Satyam. Then we said we'll come out with an NGO, a not-for-profit organization. And for this, we need to lay, processes in place, strategize about it. That's how we, had to have a call center, have a quality check for the call center, hiring the right kind of people into the call center, or hiring the right kind of people into the field, training them. All these things come part of the organization part, actually. So, and then comes the industry. When we are talking about industry, the one thing that you must note here, the constraint is, you must have a check on the competitors. It's not enough that we do, we have a good plan in place. We need to have a check on who our competitors were. And here we had a tough time to say that, because police felt we needed the help of the police, because if an accident happened, we needed the help of the police to shift the person immediately. So somewhere police felt it's the duty of the police, these people are taking it over. Medical fraternity was also very resistant. They thought you are taking away our business. So we had to collaborate with everybody, and then we came out with a public-private partnership. That is what the PPP stands for, where we entered into an agreement with all the private hospitals, government, and police, and together we collaborated and we worked. So your focus should be on the competitors as well when you are in innovation. Society part. It was indeed a major challenge. We were talking about this, say, some 15 years back. Smartphones were not as prevalent as they are now. And remember, we are dealing with a set of people who are not even holding a phone, who have never held a phone, a cell phone in hand, and you expect them to see an emergency, pick up the phone, dial, and give us information about what kind of accident it is, and give us details about where it is and stuff. So we had to go into the public and educate them about what they should be doing and when they should be dialing for an emergency. We had to educate about what is not an emergency. People started thinking it is a free service, so they availed it as a transport facility as well. So we had to educate them about what is not an emergency there. And this, apart from the Supreme Court having laid a judgment saying that any person at a time of emergency can be shifted to the hospital and the hospital has to accept it. So we had to educate them with all these needs and get into the society, schools, colleges, and remote areas, and tell them what an emergency is and what should they be doing when they encounter an emergency. Last but not the least, we had a sense, reach, care, everything fine. We could sense an emergency, but how do we reach? We are, such a vastly diverse places we have, each place is very far off. How do we identify? That is with the first of its kind, probably we can say, in the country, where we came out with the GIS and GPS, where sitting in the call center, the call taker could identify which is the closest or nearest ambulance to the place of emergency, pick up the phone and alert the ambulance saying that the emergency is in so and so place. Suppose that ambulance is there in an emergency, it could identify the next nearest possible ambulance there, and also could track the movement of the vehicle as they are going by, to see if they are reaching, or if they are on track, or if they are reaching on time. So this is what we talk about when we are talking about constraints. Innovation is not sans constraints. It is, of course, it comes with multiple constraints. It depends on how we handle it and taking it forward. Yeah. There are many parts to it. We said creativity, we said invention or innovation. Some people say design thinking or lateral thinking, thinking out of the box, like many of you all mentioned there. You can name it any which way, but reaching the end result or outcome, what we are talking about is innovation. Yeah. Let's have a quick look at the stages actually. I want to emphasize here, there is no particular order of any stages of emergencies, creativity that happens here. It can take, it can start from the problem in hand. It can start from the problem in hand to, you have a problem and then you do a kind of research or dig out for a lot of information. Yes, Birbal is the best example from our past about creative problem solving. Excellent, that's true, that's true. Okay, so, we research, and when talking about research, I would say, don't keep digging into the point, look at it with an exploring eye actually, I have a 3-eyed view of what you are looking at. When you keep digging into the same hole, you get only the same result. So when you enhance your observation, when you start exploring, you may get multiple ideas. Probably for some other problem, you may get a solution when you are exploring there. So conducting research is good enough, but then you should also know where to stop. Enough is enough, I am so good at collecting information. I've been collecting information for the past 1 year. I have so much in hand, but now I don't know where to begin with. I don't know, I'm lost at it actually. So it's very important that you have indicators at your research point to say that, when to stop, have a timeline mentioned there, get back to your smart perspective of goal setting. So make it into achievable chunks and give it a timeline there, and give it to an indicator to say, yes, I've reached this stage, I can now stop here and go ahead with it, and probably if needed, come back again. So that is very important. So don't get stuck at the research part. Next is the gestation period. Yes, there will be a gestation from the time you start about doing it, and multiple ideas, brainstorming, or all the information that you collect, and from multiple people or approvals or many things that happen there and incorporate the gestation period. And then comes the eureka. So make a point here, many a times it can also begin from the 5th stage. It can, as we said, there is no particular order. It can begin with the eureka stage. There was an idea which came into my mind. I thought, can I work on that actually? That will be the problem in hand, and I start from there and go. Okay. So the last step, making it happen. Okay. You implement it, you go and implement it. And the 7th one is the testing and critique and validation. Very, very crucial. Here, when you're talking about testing and validation, it is the feedback which is important. You need to take feedback here. And when you are taking or giving feedback, never get personal. It has to be subject to the topic that is being discussed there. So be brave enough, put your head up to take a feedback. It will help you. Mark my words, it will help you. If not now, for some other project in hand. So if we take the 7 stages of creativity to how we came about, Dr. Anil and me came about with the program here, look at the order it went actually. The first stage was problem in hand, okay, creativity and invention, that's what you wanted to do. Second was the Eureka. We thought, we were thinking of, why not do something about creativity and innovation. Then we said, why not plan an event? This was when Dr. Anil was in India in December. So Jan 31st when he was here. He said, why don't we plan an event? And from there on, he went on to meet the HYSIA leaders and the leadership at HYSIA. He had a discussion with them. He took in their inputs and seeing how to go, what are their thoughts about it, and pulled out whatever he was needed from there. And then, of course, from there, the gestation period, he worked on, how do we go about doing it? Research went on from March to April there. And then April, we thought, really we were going on and on about how much we collect, what do we do? And then we said, enough, let's implement and see how it goes. That's how we are here today in May. We are, doing it again. We definitely would appreciate your feedback here, putting it into action and taking it further from here. That's the 7 stages of creativity that we. Okay, how many of y'all took part in this? Like in the first slide, which was mentioned, did you all, how many of y'all, can I get in the chat box? Did you all see this draw a picture of a pig and draw a picture of a mouse? How many of y'all saw that and how many of y'all drew it? No? Okay, Shailaja, why don't you do it now actually? Why don't you draw a picture of a pig and then in the next page, all of y'all, okay, that's fine if you have not seen it. Why don't you all draw a picture of a pig and then in the next page, a picture of a mouse? I'll just give you a couple of, few seconds. Please do. Nisha, draw it now. That's good. Go for it. Okay. Those who have done with it, how many of you are good in drawing? So how good is the picture of the pig and the mouse? Very good in drawing, Shailaja. Go ahead. Okay. I wish we could see that actually. Okay, good. Fine. Yes, let's see what was... Doctor, can we move the slide? The thing here is, only my daughter will be able to say what animal it is. Okay. The thing here is, many of y'all who were, I can differentiate between pig and mouse. Okay, fine. And the thing, what we are trying to mention here, the point here that we're trying to make here is, many of y'all got, wow, Shailaja, so you have drawn a computer mouse. Excellent. That's good. That's good. So it's not how you, it's not what you think, it's how you think that makes all the difference. There is no right or wrong here. If you have drawn a picture of a pig or a picture of a mouse also, animal mouse, it's fair enough, it's good enough. But the thing here is, we are limited by our thinking. When we set picture of a pig, many of us are limited by the thought and the pattern. Our mind starts creating patterns that it is an animal. So the mouse also has to be an animal. So that is what I was relating to when I was saying you have to break free from the assumptions and your thinking patterns and start challenging your assumptions. That improves your quality of thinking. When you start challenging and remove the biases from your thinking, it improves the quality of your thinking. That is what makes the difference. That is what we have been saying when we say that innovation is not a personality trait. It's all about how you think about what you are working on. Yes, Doctor.
I was talking to an young colleague a couple of years ago. He told me, when I talk to engineers, I talk like a marketing person. When I talk to marketing people, I talk like an engineer. If you think about it, it makes great sense, even though it is counterintuitive, because engineers need to know how to market the products that they're creating, and the marketing people need to know how it is engineered so that they can do a better job when they're selling skills. Albert Einstein said it eloquently: we focus on knowledge, even though capturing knowledge itself is challenging. Unfortunately, the focus for most of the companies is on quarterly results and not much on new products and services. After all, imitation is cheap and innovation is expensive. But once you start changing your thinking and see how we can make a big difference, that makes a whole lot of change. One example is Uber. The simple idea of getting a taxi in Paris now transcended across industries, unleashed capacity that was latent, and then made it inexpensive for customers as well. So that's how your imagination could impact the world. Some of the techniques I will briefly cover. I'm also looking at my watch. Questioning. There are a technique called 5 whys. Typically, what we do is we start going on a path, and we think that's the only path that is available. If you stop and say, "Oh, what happens if I block this path?" There are alternatives available. So you have to consciously make an effort to block the current thought and then look at alternatives, and then you may end up a lot more innovative ideas as well. Same thing with visualization. A lot of us are visually challenged to come up with creative ways, but once you start developing techniques, you will make a great difference. Mind mapping is well known. It's an organized way of looking at all the possibilities, and there are tools available. Another technique is you start with a random word from dictionary, and then start playing with that word, and then go to the related words, and then see where it will take you. Role plays. Once you put yourself in a different role, and then all of a sudden you'll see different dimensions to that one. That also helps. Jyoti talked about brainstorming earlier, so that's one of the techniques. Edward de Bono has several methods. If your company can afford, maybe take such courses, or maybe start doing it on your own. So there are many techniques available to make it a worthwhile exercise for you. One of the techniques is asking questions. Our boss used to say, ask a million questions. So the more you ask, the more you know about that one. Here we're talking about a simple example of a car battery being dead. I experienced it some time ago, and then you get to the real root cause and not the symptom of the problem. Just a couple of days ago, I was mulling over of some personal item, and while brushing, I thought, well, why don't I apply this technique? And within 2 minutes, I could get an answer that I'm looking for. It didn't take very much effort also. There you can see a lot of stories like this one. So the bottom line is, how do we get to the bottom of the real root cause? And probably you're aware of the innovation adoption life cycle. There are few stages. There are innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. When I was in college, I was in the innovator category. I went and bought a Macintosh that I could barely afford in 1984. But now I'm in the laggard stage. So we go through different stages for different products. So be aware of that one. And then also the Gartner hype cycle. From the innovation stage to the maturity stage, it goes through a number of stages. And our point here is, at each of those stages, the constraints may vary. So you need to figure out, okay, what are these constraints for this particular stage? So your clients may be different, your competition may be different, the team may be different. So at each of the stages, take a proactive stand and say, well, is it time for me to revisit the constraints and how to adapt myself? Earlier we mentioned, if you keep digging in the hole, you're not going to get out of there. So how do you change your trajectory? There are a number of ways. One is get started. You already did that by joining today. Start paying attention. The moment you start paying attention, you will see a lot of details emerging, generate a lot of ideas. Jyoti mentioned about that one. Just like venture capital, you just won't invest in one company. You invest in a variety of companies that some of them will be working, and team up. Like in a sport, individual doesn't have all the skills that are required. So you find complementary people to work with you that are equally energized as you are, and then at the end of the day, deliver. And many of you may be working in the IT area and then already familiar with agile methodologies. Fail fast, get your feedback early and often, and that's going to help you. And we came up with this seventh sutra. Essentially, we said, well, we are here to serve the customer. That's what we care for. So profits is the driving factor. Unfortunately, not many of us are geared towards profits. We are more technology geeks. We rather stay comfortable in our own box. That is probably developing platform or a product or service. We need to go beyond that and see how do we align what we are doing today with what company wants to do that. We are also planning to come up with some innovative ideas here to offer you some additional training material. There are tools, techniques, processes, and people. We tend to kind of ignore them best as a nuisance. We deal with them because we have to deal with them, not part of an ecosystem. And finally, the one thing we need to be aware of is perseverance or grit. Things are not going to happen overnight. They will take time. You need to have energy to stay in there and then persevere and then show your grit and determination, and you'll start seeing changes.
Yeah, the seventh sutra as applied to EMRI that we were talking about here, the profits is not measured in terms of money. It's measured in terms of lives saved. Like how many lives are we saving? And then a platform, we had an emergency response system, a centralized call center where people could call from across the state to one particular call center, and we had ambulances deployed everywhere. Techniques, we are talking about the partnering with the police and the medical fraternity. That's what we call the triple P, public-private partnership. And then following up, and perseverance is an excellent, we had a board leadership there, which was, we had Bharat Ratna, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam also part of it and giving their ideas there. And then tools is a patient care record where we recorded the details of the patient whom we are picking up and dropping in the hospital and then following up to see how it is done. That's how we tabulated the life save. That's how it worked. And then process, the sense reach care process, which was shared. The people, the emergency medical technicians, the EMTs, the pilots are our ambulance drivers, and the call takers are the communication officers, that are dispatch officers there. So that's how it related. And the key takeaways, we are there almost end of it. So remember, each of us need to be conscious about the response that we give between the stimulus. Actually, how do we respond to the stimulus? The energy that we push into the response. Remember, that energy determines our power, our growth, or how we want to look at life. There is again no right or wrong. It all depends on what you want. So if you want something, put in as much energy as there between the space between the stimulus and the response. And we saw the 6 constraints there. How do we overcome and manage them is what we saw. 7 stages of creativity. Nothing comes in one particular order. The key here is, even if it comes from the Eureka stage, are we making a note of it is very important. Many times we miss out on that. We get an idea, we'll just put it in the back of our mind thinking that, when it comes to it, we'll think of it. But after a while, we see that somebody else has already gone ahead with it actually. Why does that happen? Because we have not recorded it. So get into the habit of recording the ideas that come to you. It may not be a solution for the current problem, but it can always serve you a solution for a problem in the future. And then we saw about imagination is not what you think, it is all about how you think. Break your assumptions there, break your stereotypes, break your patterns. Don't have biases actually. Start questioning or start challenging your assumptions, and that changes the tangent in the way you think. That improves the quality of your thinking actually. That improves the quality of data that you take into your thinking there. Okay, easier than you think. One step at a time. I want to walk 10 steps. I need to take that first step. That's very, very important. I can't just jump and fly over and reach the step where I need. So one step at a time, one small thing, do that. And leaders, if you're managing a team, remember, enable. Yes, parents must also be more creative. Absolutely right. That is important. This is where we were talking about questioning. So how much patience do we have as my name? Avipsa, very good. I take your name. Thank you. Thank you so much. So it's about how we, have the patience to listen to what our children say. So encourage questions, ask a million questions. That improves creativity actually. Okay. So, and then enabling your teams as a leader, pay attention, that you create an atmosphere for people to speak up and participate in brainstorming and collecting ideas. So your body language has to be in place. And then 3 are the uses of adversity, more with less. Jugaad is something which you are very, very, familiar with, how we make things happen. So, yes, doctor. So happy creativity and innovation is what I'd say. Probably you will go back to your kitchen today. Creativity can happen there as well, actually. Make it happen there. Or when you go back to work tomorrow, see what is it that you can do differently to make it more creative. Doctor.
Yes, thank you for joining us. We put our contact information as well as some of the useful links that you may like to pursue further. Thank you for joining us. And if there's anything else, Jyoti, or I can do for you, please feel free to reach out to us. And we also are looking at more programs like this one. And we'll also be in touch with you. And just as one last slide I wanted to share with you is at work, we tend to have dedicated desks, but not dedicated parking spots. What would happen if a desk is not assigned to you? As you come into the workplace, you pick your desk. So just think about that one. How we can enlarge your circle of friends, and then also interactions that you will have. And one last thing is, that's my creativity. Thank you. Good day.
So stay safe, stay healthy, take care. Thank you so much for joining.
Any questions?
Yeah.
Thank you, Jyoti. Thank you, Nirja, for making this happen.
Thank you, Anil. Thank you, Jyoti.
Thank you, Nirja. That was, I mean, I should say thanking you is not enough. I should say you've been an excellent support, actually. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's always a pleasure. Thank you, Anil.
Good day.
For getting
Good day.
up
Bye.
early in the morning to join.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for all your support. Thank you. Bye.